Samir, waiting for sending data, sending data. Come on, turn green. We got two greens. We got three greens. And come on, YouTube, you can do it. You can do it. Sending data. They always tell me I need a fancy countdown clock to wait for all this to happen. Come on. Good. Okay. Jordan, you want to count us down for the music and we'll get started? So let's do 10, 9,
All
just
right.
like New Year's Eve. Go ahead.
All right. 10,
10,
And
9,
9,
9,
8,
8,
8,
7,
7,
7,
6,
6,
6,
5,
5,
5,
4,
4,
4,
3,
3,
3,
2,
2.
2,
Here we go.
1.
It worked.
Where does yesterday's future, which is already here, meet today's future, which is about to happen, and tomorrow's future, which could be just minutes away? Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now, where host Bonnie D. Graham asks savvy futurists for their predictions about the tech-driven trends that are shaping our future right now. Here's your host, who will take us into the future of now, Bonnie D. Graham.
Thank you very much to the voice who introduces me. I'm Bonnie D. Happy to be here. We are live streaming. Everything's working for a change. Very happy to be here. Those of you who are watching or listening, you may know that we had the same panel on a couple of weeks ago, about a month and a half or so. I'm very intrigued with where we're going. The world needs love. I think Dusty spoke, world needs now is love, sweet. Well, where is that going to happen in the nature of future civilizations, future cultures, future worlds, future spheres? Will there be AI? Will there be bots? Will there be people? Will they like each other? Will they talk to each other? Will they cohabit? Will they co-create? I won't even get into the mechanics and the biology of that. What's going to happen? Well, I've gathered again 5 wonderfully talented, smart, savvy, visionary authors who indulge in the, shall we say, the sci-fi, the future worlds realm in their novels, in their stories. Some of them have written, like Charles, my goodness, a whole wall full of books there. And we've got a whole potpourri of talents here. We're going to talk about their predictions on what we might expect, and it could come to a world near us. Is that possible, everybody? Is it possible? I don't know. Don't be frightened. So I want to welcome everybody back. We have Mark Morton. Just wave your hand when I say hello. And we have Casey Grifant, and we have Jason Palmatier, and Charles Breakfield, and Barak Engel. I'm delighted to have you all back. And I want you to know that I have refreshed your bio poems, your rhyming intros, because I didn't want you to think, oh, Bonnie's lazy. She's using the same one she used. I'm sure you all remember, right, Jason? Every line I used when I introduced you last time. So here we go. And by the way, let's see, the date of the last show when you were here was on February 12th. So February, March, April. So it's about 10 weeks. So here we go. Let me read this and just wave when I call your name. So welcome to the Technology Revolution Future of Now show, the future of sci-fi, romance, and AI. Whom or what will we love? We want to know. Bonnie D on her Scarlett Mic, your predictions host and guide, welcomes 5 futurist authors again on her Into the Future ride. Mark Morton, Casey Grifant, Jason Palmatier, and Charles Breakfield, Barak Engel, bringing their writing brand, predicting human and bot relationships in their imaginary sphere. You don't want to miss this, so tune in and stay right here. Here we go. Here's the formal intro. Welcome, global audience, to the Technology Revolution Glow. Love and romance in worlds yet unknown, where AI and humans have truly grown. From circuits to hearts, can passion be real? Do machines learn love? Or do they just mimic and pretend they feel? Sci-fi's lens lets the future ignite as we dive into love beyond day and into night. Bonnie D welcomes 5 futurist authors on her Into the Future ride, predicting worlds where such love and romance could abide. Here we go. Mark Morton. While kids played sports in sun or sleet, Mark Morton dove through pages, mind elite. From Shakespeare's lined to food word roots, Mark mined the past in his scholar's boots. But fiction whispered in his ear. Now disto dreams are crystal clear. With pen in hand, he crafts the strife of future worlds and love and life. Mark, do you like that?
That's great. And April 23rd is Shakespeare's birthday, by the way.
Here we are. I should have known that. On my Monday show, I do famous birthdays. I would have had that. Shame on me. Casey Grifant is back from Spooky Dreams in Childhood's Night. Casey wrote with fierce delight a scientist turned word witch bold. She conjures tales both dark and gold. With monsters, guns, and Westworld flair, her heroine rides through shadowed air. Melinda fights, yet love remains, a heartbeat in her haunted plains. Casey, what'd you think?
I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jason is back from cyber codes to comics bright. Jason Palmatier builds realms of myth and might. With battle tech and zombie wars, his stories burst through other doors. A film short here, a novel there. Each tale is a spark of stellar flair. He weaves in hearts where danger lies, and love survives where darkness flies. Jason, did you like the new one?
Yes, that was excellent. Very nice.
Glad. I'll tell Sylvia you liked it. Charles is here, a techie with a Harley's roar. Charles Breakfield writes of thrill and data lore. From crypto clouds to wartime ghosts, his tales mix wine and humor the most. With Breakfield Berkey's savvy spin, that's his co-author, adventure, love, and code begin. In enigma worlds, both sharp and sly, romance rides in, no need to spy. Charles, what'd you think?
I can hardly wait to meet me. I sound great.
Touche. I like that very much. And Barak is here. Barak Engel ditched the scalpel, chose the bite, and guards the world by firewall light. But deep inside this cyber night with a K, a storyteller took to flight. D&D realms became his muse, a novel born from myth-infused views, with wit, with heart, with magic's kiss. His code loves pulse in worlds of bliss. Barak, do you like that one?
Just like Charles said, can I echo that sentiment?
You can. So stay tuned, dear audience, as we explore this fictional revolution in tech innovation and more. AI meets romance in sci-fi right here with Bonnie D and her savvy author Futurist. Let's all cheer, everybody, cheer, cheer, cheer. There we go. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'll tell Sylvie. And Sylvie and I are communicating more in French these days, and we send each other mille bisous. That's 1,000 kisses. And she calls me Cher Bonnie, and she says she loves my creativity, and I thank her the same. And you all know who Sylvie is. If I missed anything in your bio, let's just take 2 minutes around the table so we can get to the quotes and the predictions. Anything else you'd like us to know? Mark Morton, putting you on speaker view. Anything you want to fill in? And welcome back, Mark.
Well, I'll mention that my most recent novel is called The Headmasters. It's a dystopian novel. And but the first nonfiction book that I published nearly 30 years ago is being republished in a third edition in May. It's called Cupboard Love, and it's a dictionary of the origins and histories of food words.
Interesting. What kinds of food words are you covering, Mark?
Everything. There's a thousand words in it. So, I mean, I always come across things that I think, oh, I should have put that in. I forgot, but it's got 1,000 words. So test me if you want, and I'll see if I can remember.
For one of my other shows, I collect, Barak knows this, wacky stories, off the wall things. I call them Say What? And I collect these, and I have various newsletters I receive every day, Mark. And some of them have silly articles like 10 names for food that people used to eat in the 18th century that we don't do anymore, and the wacky, and why are these bugs named this way, and why are these food named this way? I'll look up and see if I can find one of those articles. I'll send it to you and see if you've got those words. I would love to. Casey, you're back. Talk to us. Anything we missed? Tell us a little more.
Yeah, so I guess the latest news, my new book is coming out May 29th. It is the second in my Monster Gunslinger series. It is an alternative history in the Old West where a stoic gunslinger and her partner hunt monsters. And these monsters are unlike any of the other ones they've ever encountered. They're smarter, stronger, faster. At the same time, there's a mysterious plague kind of taking over the land. So it's a fun adventure. I say they're in the vein of like Buffy, supernatural, kind of high stakes action, not too gory, not too gruesome. So yeah, that's out May 29th.
Congratulations. We'll look forward to it. Is that considered a cozy if it's not too, I don't even know what the cozy category is.
I think so, because cozies, I believe, are more relaxing, right? It's like, oh, you open up a bookstore, you drink your tea. It's like
you don't get frightened.
Yeah, it's not really like high stakes, high action.
What inspires your monsters? Where do
Oh,
you get the ideas from? Do you have nightmares? Do you watch sci-fi on TV? I don't know. Where do you get them?
I definitely have nightmares that give me a lot of inspiration for my stories. For monsters, I like to look at nature because animals are insane. Like they do insane things, right? Like look at Australia and all of the interesting creatures there. So I like to mix and match kind of animal attributes and enhance them for my monsters.
Very interesting. Thank you for that. Jason, welcome back. Jason, talk to us. Anything you want us to know additional?
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm still my latest is still the BattleTech Shrapnel issue number 19 that my short story was in. But I will mention that my brother's Kickstarter for his small press did fund, and so there's an open call for writers, and it's a pirate-themed anthology, sci-fi fantasy. So Zombies Need Brains is the name of the small press. So if you're a writer out there, you can go now and submit short stories about 6,000 words, 5 to 7,000, I think is seven's his limit. So that's out there. So check it out. And then otherwise, in work, I'm working on actually a book that I wrote about 9 years ago. I had an agent interested in, and so I'm cutting words out of that. So that's been an interesting process because I've never done a large cut like that before. So that's pretty cool. But that put my other project, which is related to the short story, AI short story, on the back burner for a little bit. But hopefully I'll get back to that soon.
How many hours a day do you write, Jason?
I try to get in 3 hours a day, maybe. Four would be great, but then it usually comes out of between 2 and 3. So,
Wow. Okay. Okay. No comment. I'm still working on my novel and I haven't looked at it in 3 months. And it's like it has a magnet that says, go away, don't touch me. I'm not ready to be edited and published yet. I'll get there one of these days. Thank you. Charles Breakfield is back. Charles, talk to us. Anything new you and Roz are doing?
Yeah, we'll have the third and final installment of the Enigma Heirs, called Enigma Jewels, and it's the final episode of the last of the criminal dynasty toppled in this, and it after our last show, we got prepped for it. I got kind of jazzed from your all the spirited people and conversation that we had, and so we baked in a little bit of the forward-looking AI attributes into that book as well. So it's part of the surprise as the story evolves.
Nice.
That is nice to know. We made an impact. We made an impression. We worked our way in there into that stream of thought. Thank you, Charles. That's very nice to know. I've had guests on other topics on the show who didn't tell me, but after weeks or months later, they co-wrote books together. They sponsored project. One was teaching girls to code, and they sponsored a project and fundraised to get certain elements into an elementary school system or a high school system together. And nobody tells me, but I'm glad you told me, Charles, that there was some inspiration there. That's always good to know. This is a good networking opportunity here too. Yeah. Barak is back. Barak Engel, welcome back. Anything else you want to fill in the dashes? Go ahead.
Well, dear me, still working on the second novel to follow through on Cracking the Crystal, which is right behind my shoulder. As I've learned from everybody else on this panel, I need to have it in the picture somewhere. But perhaps unexpectedly, and I think this is a little bit the way the Life of Books works. My first book, which is a nonfiction book, one that won an award in the cybersecurity industry, and then had a second edition issued. Suddenly, the last 3 months keeps popping up. I don't know why. It's become sort of a thing as in these big top 10 lists of the books you must read if you want to know how to manage security. And it's happened like 3 times, and suddenly it creates this unexpected interest in something that was written a decade ago. And it's always sort of unexpected. And last little bit of news: the tech company that I founded is slowly emerging out of stealth mode. It's starting its official first fundraise right now. And the reason I bring it up, it's to fill the security, is the name is the official name is Arcanum, which already tells you a little bit about my mindset. But ARC is the shortened name that we use, or ARC AI. And of course, story arc does play into that. So there you go.
Very nice. Very nice. Life imitates art, imitates life, imitates
Pretty
companies and everything. Good. Glad to have you all back. Let's quickly go through our opening quotes. You've all sent some really interesting ones. Take about 2 minutes. I've done my homework, of course, and I'll try to keep it brief, but I could spend the whole show just reading all the research I've done on your quotes. Mark Morton sent a very charming quote, spoken by Channy. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Played by the wonderful comedian, actress Kristen Wiig, with 2 eyes in her name. Speaking to Brick Tamland, you all know, played by Steve Carell. The movie Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues. All the way back in 2013, comedy. Hard to believe, Mark. It's that long ago. It's the secret to the 2004 Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. We all know about that, which was interestingly enough produced by Judd Apatow and written by, by Adam McKay and Will Ferrell, of course. Plot: 7 years after capturing the heart of co-anchor Veronica Corningstone, Christina Applegate. This was way back before. We know that. Ron Burgundy is offered a spot on the world's first 24-hour global cable news network. He assembles a team challenged by oh no, Casey, they had a tough female boss. What a terrible thing to think about. A network owner and a popular anchor. Ron and his pals must find their own way to the top of the ratings. And here is the quote Channy says to Brick. Where is the quote? Here we go. My name is Channy, last name A. I'm a real go-getter and a person, people. I can type 50 words a minute with only 300 errors. I watched the clip. I was hysterical. Mark, where'd you find this? And what does this have to do with your whatever we're talking about? Go.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah, as you say, it's from one of the Anchorman movies. I think the second one, I think. And I'm a sucker for that kind of humor, that and the hangover movies, things like that. And I love Steve Carell. I'm rewatching all of the Office episodes, the US version. And I guess what I liked about that was, in that scene, there are 2 neurodivergent individuals talking to each other, and they're so charming and they're so sweet, and so personable in a strange way. And at the same time, it's kind of about technology because it's somebody who is talking about typing, and typing, of course, uses the technology, the typewriter, or now more and more people are using voice to text. But even that, as we all know, has problems. We've all used voice to text and strange errors have appeared. It puts in the word kill instead of the word kiss or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I just wondered, as we move more and more towards AI, what other kinds of awkward or embarrassing or maybe even hazardous situations will arise.
You just brought to mind for me Roberta Flack's wonderful song "Killing Me Softly with His Song," which was a love song. Killing and kissing. We'll leave that one. Thank you. Yes, there have been very. Once I typed a message to somebody years ago. I was visiting someone and I grabbed my phone and a woman friend had contacted me and I typed it back and she came back with it. She said, "Did you really mean to say this?" There were so many substitute words in it that it ended up almost like a comedy script. It was very embarrassing too. So there we go. Will that ever change? Who knows? Thank you, Mark. KC has picked a quote from V.I.K.I. Stands for Virtual Interactive Kinetic Intelligence, played by Fiona Hogan, the movie I, Robot, 2004. We're still going back in time here. You believe that's 21 years ago. Sci-fi action film. Let's see. It was based on Jeff Vintar's screen story based on his original play called Hardwired and named after Isaac Asimov's 1950 short story collection. Great cast. Bridget Moynihan, remember her from Blue Bloods and everything else. I think Coyote Ugly she was in. Will Smith, Bruce Greenwood, Alan Tudyk played the robot Sonny, and it took place in Chicago 2035 going forward. Highly intelligent robots fill public service jobs throughout the world, operating under 3 laws of robotics to keep humans safe. Detective Del Spooner, Will Smith, investigates alleged suicide of U.S. robotics founder Dr. Lanning and believes the human-like robot Sonny murdered him. Here is the quote from Vicky. My logic is undeniable. Casey, is that the mantra? Is that in the beginning of your books? My logic is undeniable. Be a great mantra. Go ahead, Casey. What's this all about?
Yeah, I mean, the movie was fine. The quote is a little corny, but I feel like it really kind of captures where we're going with AI to some degree. I remember watching the movie at the time. It felt like really far out, no way would we have these robots and AI. And now it feels like much more possible, right? And that quote is chilling, though that robot is the antagonist, right? And she says that as she's facing off against Will Smith. And it really captures the problem with AI and also people, right? If you think your logic is so sound, you're not open to other ideas. You might not realize you could be wrong. So I feel like it highlights the danger of, unchecked artificial intelligence, unchecked power, right? If somebody thinks my logic is, perfect, they're not going to hear anything else. And as we know, logic is a construct, right? It's not be all end all. So I feel like that quote sort of captures the danger of people and AI in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. Yes, a lot of arguments start that way. Barak likes that thumbs up. How many thumbs up, Barak? 2 thumbs. Got 1, 2 thumbs up. Charles added the second thumb. We're good. Oh, we got 3 thumbs up now. Casey, you pulled 5. We've got Jason. Oh, we're doing thumbs up approval on the quotes. Thank you, Jason. It's up to you now. The scene. Let me first give, this is from Gattaca, Gattaca, in we're going even back farther, 1997 dystopian sci-fi film. The title is based on the letters GATC, guanine, adenine or adenine, thymine, and cytosine, the 4 nucleobases of DNA. It was an Oscar nominee for Best Art Direction and Golden Globe. In 1997, they were going to have a follow-up, and it got canceled 2 years ago. It stars Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman with a lot of other interesting people. Here's the scene. Vincent is looking at a 12-fingered pianist. Irene, played by Uma Thurman, says, "It's amazing, isn't it?" And Vincent, played by the wonderful Ethan Hawke, says, 12 fingers or 1, it's how you play. And Irene says, that piece only can be played with 12. Oh, Jason, what world are we in? Where's the piano? How many keys does the piano have? How many fingers does the piano have? Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, well, I'll pick that quote because, yeah, it's interesting to me because, yeah, there's a certain point at which what you can do as who you are or whatever, you reach a limit and you can't do beyond that, right? And so with humans, there's a certain limit of what you can play on a piano because you only have 10 fingers. And in the movie, of course, it's, genetics and stuff. So if somebody's got 12 fingers, they can play something a little bit more than the normal human. And I feel like that's sort of where the fear or whatnot that comes with the AI is the idea that, well, what if the AI gets better at being human, than humans? And that's essentially why I picked that quote. And also it's interesting to think about, well, in, related to romance or whatever, in AI, and are they going to be satisfied with like human concepts of romance or whatnot, or are they going to come up with their own ideas of romance, of what they think is important and how they relate to maybe not us, but to each other and stuff? So
that's why the 5 of you are here. Your ideas, your predictions on what those paradigms for romance and love will look like, what the relationships will be, what the language will be. You're helping us make it up. Maybe you're helping scientists craft what it will become. Maybe they're reading your books. We hope so. Thank you very much. Charles, I'm moving on to you. Charles has got a quote from Alex Rogan and Grigg. The movie, we're going even farther back in time to 1984, The Last Starfighter. This is a space opera film, a story of Alex Rogan, a teenager who, after winning the high score in an arcade game, Barak, there's arcane. We got your part of your word in there. That's secretly a simulation test. He's recruited by an alien defense force to fight in an interstellar war with Dan Hurley. I think I remember him. Catherine Mary Stewart and Robert Preston. Robert Preston. Anybody remember him from The Music Man in 1962? The character of Centauri, a lovable con man, was written in honor of or homage to his role as Professor Harold Hill in The Music Man in this movie. It was a modestly budgeted sci-fi excursion, some of the examples of purely computer-generated animation. Interesting. The visuals now look very quaint, but they were very good back in the day. So here's the scene. Alex, played by Lance Guest, says, "You mean they're all dead?" And Grigg, played by Dan O'Hurley, he says, "Death is a primitive concept. I prefer to think of them as battling evil in another dimension." Charles, did I do that okay? I don't know their voices. Go.
Yeah, I thought it was significant because it's if you take that concept of death and project it onto the AI, what would they consider was important? I mean, we all go through those slices of death every night. We need 8 hours of sleep. There's a charge time for a robot to be able to come back. And what if you don't wake up from your nighttime sleep, or your charge doesn't last? So, the concept of how will they perceive the concept of death? What would it feel like? And that kind of projection of what sort of thought processes would lead them to be able to digest the concept of I'm no longer here. So
we all are trying to do. Keep going. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that's the segue to the what would that's part of the obsession people have. What's next? What am I going to do? How will I survive? Will I just check out one night, or the batteries no longer will no longer hold the charge, and so I'm not here. The AI enhanced robot is no longer here. How do they deal with those concepts? And so that's kind of where I'm going to take the predictions that you're going to ask for here in a few minutes.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And my phone just died and I plugged it in, so we know what happens when you have a charger right there. I showed you all my new video cam Wi-Fi bird feeder. Well, it does suck the phone dry because it's just showing these videos all day long. So yes, so I was able to regenerate. So my phone said, "I'm back from the dead." No, it didn't really, but wouldn't that be fun if it said that loud? Thank you, Barak. I'm looking at your quote here. This is from Star Trek: The Next Generation, called TNG in caps, sci-fi TV series. We're even back farther, 1987 to 1994. This quote is from season 4, episode 25, called In Theory. It originally aired on June 3rd, 1991 in broadcast syndication. Very briefly, the character named Data accepts the affections of shipmate Jenna DeSora and pursues a romantic relationship. Jenna soon understands the downside of a programmed relationship. As they work on their personal problems, the Enterprise moves into an area of space rendered deadly by a nebula, tearing small gaps in the fabric of space, deforming matter it comes into contact with. By the way, I just wanted you to know, Barak, the Nielsen rating for this episode was 9.8%. It was the second least view episode in season 4 of The Next Generation. I just thought that'd be kind of cute. Gene Roddenberry tried his best. So here is the quote. Data, played by Brent Spiner. Are we no longer a couple? Jenna DeSora, played by Michelle Scarabelli. No, we're not. Data, then I will delete the appropriate program. Okay, Relationships 101. Barak, where'd you find this? And what does this have to do with your predictions? Go.
Well, I thought it was very relevant to the topic at hand. I also wanted to use this to introduce this term that I just came up with and probably has been come up with many people before, called the statistical mirror, that I think is very relevant to the world that we live in today with AIs and LLMs, and is going to play a part in my predictions later when we get to that section. But what was really interesting for me there is that, sure, it was one of the least watched episodes and what have you. But I thought it in today's context, it's an interesting scene because it poses a lot of questions that are very relevant to how we're interacting with AI in our world with large language models. Because if we say decide to hypothesize that data is an advanced version of the kind of AI that we're dealing with today, then the response the data issued was essentially a statistical response. It did an instant computation behind the scenes and reached the conclusion that the correct or most correct answer, which could have been 50.1%, was the one that it issued. But what if it had made the calculation and the calculation would have reached the conclusion that the right answer, 50.01%, was go into rage, as humans sometimes do when their partners leave them, and kill their human partner. Also a thing that could have happened and so I keep thinking about and the reason I call it a statistical mirror, I'm thinking a little bit about Black Mirror, right? It's this whole idea that the Netflix series, it's this whole idea that all these things that we're imagining, we can imagine to be a fairly benign outcome that we can laugh at, as happened in that episode. Oh, okay, the computer deletes the I love Jenna program and moves on with their lives, and human gets stuck with the emotions. That's probably going to start happening a lot more as we deal with romantic relationships between humans and machines. But there's always the potential dark side of this, and one of the challenges we're facing today with AI is that it doesn't tell us how it reaches the conclusions that it reaches. It doesn't tell us what the confidence of the answer is. It doesn't tell us that it calculated the 50.1% probability that the correct answer is, oh, I'll just delete this program. And I think that is an area that is where we are truly, truly led by the nose by big tech, if you will. That's a little bit of side commentary there. Okay. And it's one of the things we're going to not do. But putting that aside, this is how we're going to really, really fail. Humans need to understand what these things are doing.
Well, there's the chance for you all as authors, each of you and all of you, to decide how to explain that, how to weave that into your plots, how to bring that reality check, Barak, into the themes you write about, into the worlds you describe, into the fantasies you imagine and share with us, your readers, your viewers. If your books get made into, has anybody here had a book made into a TV show or a film? Anything yet? Well, it might happen. So we would be able to see that calculation and see that somebody saying, I will delete Jenna 101 if you don't tell me what the probability statistic was based on. Think about that, Barak. There's a nice plot line for you. Thank you all for the quotes. I appreciate that. Let's go to predictions now. I've asked you each for a couple of new ones for today. Mark, I'm going to read your first one. I'm not going to put them in the chat. I'm just going to read it and just give us about 2 minutes of commentary. And anybody who wants to comment on what Mark says, just wave one finger, one of the nice ones, the polite ones, not the middle one, and I will see you wiggling and I will call on you. So Mark says, advances in AI will accelerate advances in quantum computing, which will render cryptography useless. No more secrets. In this context, I envision a novel or film in which, quotes, radical honesty becomes the necessary norm in romantic and other relationships. In other words, the characters will all have access to one another's communications, musings, reflections, and diaries. Well, where's the lock on that diary from junior high school, Mark? I'm getting scared now. Go ahead, Mark. Tell us. Take about 2 minutes. I'm putting you on speaker view. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like I don't know if this is a brand new idea. I can think of at least one movie with Jim Carrey. I think it was called Liar, Liar, where he plays a lawyer who, for some reason, I forget why, all of a sudden he becomes incapable of lying, can only tell, the unvarnished truth. And so I guess in the AI context, I'm just wondering what it would mean, if we're living in a society, in a culture where keeping a secret becomes very, very difficult. In other words, if somebody really, really wants to find out what I've written in my diary or in an email to myself or a journal that is supposedly locked with cryptography, they can find it out. Or if I get into some sort of chat, a supposedly private chat, as has appeared in the news last little while, how that would affect things. Like if we no longer have the assurance of privacy, what will that do to how we communicate with each other, and how will it how will it affect how we interact with each other? I guess that's what I'm wondering, and I'm not sure what it would do.
What will you put that into one of your stories? How will you handle that lack of privacy?
Yeah.
It's a good plot line, isn't it? What you know that you're not supposed to know that you thought you knew. And yes, okay. So let's go around. Anybody have any comments other than mine? Anybody for Mark? No, we're all good. Everybody just, oh, Casey, go ahead, dear.
Yeah, no, just it's interesting because you could picture it as like a utopia, right? Where everybody's sharing, there's no secrecy. but also a dystopia, right? Like 1984, where you don't have any privacy from government,
Yeah.
right? Like even your thoughts are kind of gleaned. It also made me think of the value of analog, like the diary you're talking about, Bonnie. Like maybe we go back to writing things by hand.
Mhm.
Oh, what a thought.
Uh, do-
I still am amazed I can write a signature on a form if somebody gives me one. A vendor comes and I need a signature. I say, "Oh, I know how to pick up." Jason, I'm not kidding. I had to pick up a pen and sign my signature. I said, "That still looks like my signature." Wow, I haven't done that in a long time. Who else wanted to? Somebody raised their hand. Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, I just yeah, cryptography would might regress to writing cursive. As a way to be able to defeat the younger generations as a little bit of tongue-in-cheek comment, but um, I mean, how many different forms of communication are there? That have been over the centuries.
Mhm.
How long it took to be able to decipher some of the stuff like the pictographs in Egypt and in the Mayan civilization. So encryption can be in different forms. That's
It
all
makes
my
me
my
think
point.
too of, I think it was Leonardo da Vinci who wrote in mirror writing, like it was
Yeah.
inverse, as a way of trying to foil people from seeing what he had written. And I'm also thinking now of Spock, in the original Star Trek. I think the premise was that he was incapable of lying, or at least that was part of the Vulcan ethic, was that
Supposedly,
they
yes.
were not
Interesting.
supposed to lie.
Speaking of encryption, when we started the show before we went live, Casey had her background reversed. And so it was, and I said, that would be interesting. We still see the pictures of your books, but your name, your website, and your banner on the top left now behind you were in reverse. And that, in a way, was a cryptography of, can you decipher what's behind her? Can you read that? Who knows how to do that? So interesting. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let's go to Casey. I'm up to you, and I've picked your prediction number 3. I like this one. She says, as AI can inhabit various hardware, humanoid robots, army tech dogs, etc., we'll see an increase in stories showcasing non-humanoid robotic relationships and various sub-genres on relationships with inanimate objects. Note, while all types of stories in the predictions have been done before, in general, the increase of AI in our everyday lives will inevitably create a new boom in sci-fi storytelling. Yes, 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 1,000 times yes. That's where people who weren't inspired like all of you might now get on the aboard the authorship and say, "Ah, this happened to me. I have an idea. I'm going to go create a sci-fi story." Casey, you want to unpack that prediction a little bit more for us, please?
Yeah, yeah. And I think we talked a little bit about this in the last panel as well, like the relationships with AI. Um, so AI obviously can be, software added to hardware. We have pretty sophisticated robots now. I'm sure people have seen the videos of like the military cyber dogs and all of those, and they look very realistic. So it's not hard to imagine a world where you have those discrete AI personalities put into various hardware. I mean, even like kids' toys, right? Some of them are very reactive. So then again, take a step past that, right? And okay, well, if people are going to potentially have relationships with AI, typing through their computer, why not in a humanoid form? Why not in literally anything you could imagine, right? Any kind of hardware. And it's kind of strange to think about, but I don't know. I don't know that it's a good thing necessarily because it also creates more of a barrier between humans, right? Like if you become so obsessed with your cyber dog or cyber girlfriend and you're just living in this bubble with like no actual humans, that doesn't seem great, but maybe it's okay. I try to stay open-minded about it, but it's interesting because you can think of a lot of different possibilities.
Yes.
I saw something very interesting in an article about Silicon Valley. Somebody was sitting in a coffee shop and they overheard two young AI engineers talking about how they didn't want a bio baby, they wanted an AI baby. And I don't know
What?
what that means, but it's kind of like similar, right? You could imagine, okay, so you're putting an AI in like a little robot baby. I don't know. I thought that was very interesting as well.
Barak has something to say on that. I bet you do. Go ahead. Go ahead, Barak.
Well, not about the AI baby, but I wanted to say when you were bringing this up, are you all familiar with Scott Galloway? I mean, he's pretty famous as a podcaster. Okay, so he's really well known, and he just did one called Lost Boys, specifically talking about a lost generation of young men that is precisely the problems you're describing in terms of losing the ability even to have human relationships. Fascinating podcast. I'm happy to share the link later if you want.
Thank you.
And
Well,
what you were saying is just gave me like the chill of like, I just listened to a whole conversation about that.
yeah. And that the question is, what are you all going to do to shape the future for these young men? How old are they today? How young are they today, to help them see other opportunities and maybe AI friends? By the way, when I used to come home from school when I was living in Queens, New York, I think it was junior high because it was 2 blocks up the hill. If I would be so involved in what I had just learned in school or thinking about something, I might back into a tree on our lawn. There was one lone pear tree. I would step aside and apologize to the tree. Now, there are a lot of people say, people tell me my plants are gorgeous, my house plants, my outside. I said, what do? Do you talk to your plants? So but a plant, is it an inanimate object, Casey, or is it's living, it's breathing, it's taking air, oxygen in, right, and light? Okay, so the question is, was I talking to inanimate objects and having relationships with them before we thought about AI? I don't know. Maybe I was just prescient and I knew I would be hosting this show 50 years later. Never mind. Yes. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, this makes me think, I don't know if this was done outside of Canada, but for a while in high schools, sometimes students would be given a doll, but it was a doll that had primitive programming in it so that, every 2 hours it would cry and you would have to feed it and it would wake up in the middle of the night. And the intention was to help young people understand what a responsibility having a child was. And I can imagine a situation where maybe that kind of thing would return, but in a much more authentic way, through AI, where it's not just waking up, but maybe a cough appears, or at the other end of life, maybe it could help people understand what would it be like to have to look after an aging parent, or what would it be like to experience autism or something like that. That AI could be used in conjunction maybe with something like virtual reality to help people experience things like that, make us more compassionate maybe.
That was used on a lot of sitcom shows back years ago, and they even would give students an egg and ask them to hold the egg and not drop it and think of it as a living, breathing. Let's move on. I'm looking at the clock. We have 3 more predictions to go. Jason, and then Charles, and then Barak. So, Jason, I love this one from you. He says, AI will be used to create fully immersive narratives of existing romance books. Aha! In which the reader and participant can become one of the characters. This will differ from normal VR, virtual reality, in that the participant will not control the character. They will only feel as if they are the character while passively experiencing the story. And I want to show you all that we have a visitor here. Let me see if I can grab my mouse and get my notes out of it. We have a visitor who is, he just left. Okay, it was a northern cardinal, and he wanted to say something, but he missed his chance. Okay, so let's go ahead with that prediction. Jason, what do you think? How close are we to that, Jason?
I don't know, but it sort of popped into my head because for some reason on my Facebook feed, I'm getting these things where somebody's taken a current movie or show or something like that, and they put a 1950s sci-fi I don't know, not filter, but basically an AI has generated that show as it would have appeared in the 1950s. And after a while, you get used, you can see the patterns or something that the AI is using. But it reminded me that, well, I mean, technically, the reason we don't make shows, how many times have we read a book and we're like, oh, so make a great movie or something or a great show, but it doesn't get turned into that because it costs so much money to take what's written on the page and turn it into something like you'd see in a movie. But with AI, I guess there's not really any reason that AI could not take a book or short story or anything like that and turn it into an actual video or movie. It's got everything it needs, descriptions and all that. So that's what we do with AI now, is you feed into a description and it makes a picture or something for us. So that occurred to me, and I was like, well, it may be in the future that we end up like right now, somebody writes a book and then they turn it into an audiobook, right? And maybe in the future you write a book, it gets turned into an audiobook, but then it also gets turned into some AI generated show or film or whatnot. And once you're at that point, then all of this gigantic backlog of books, especially romance books, that's a huge genre, right? All of these that can be turned into this, and there's not really any reason that somebody has to go through a special process to do it. You can have a generalized AI that says, oh, you pointed at a book and it creates it for you. And I feel like virtual reality is cool and all, but it's very active, and we're as humans excellent at being passive and just chilling at the end of a day or whatever. So that's why I feel like it'll be more that people will want to sort of experience this, but passively, where they don't have to do anything. They just got to sit back on the couch. The AI VR stuff kind of feeds it to them. And that's sort of their fully immersive show, like we watch TV shows today or whatnot.
Interesting. Will we have to get permission to take a romance, take a Jane Eyre story, or take a romance from I don't know, Jackie Collins, and say, oh, I want to do this into a movie, and I have an AI program that'll quickly turn this, and we'll put a little robot character in there, and how will that's a whole other political legal discussion of rights of taking that romance and making a spin-off, if you will, or a spin-out, perhaps. Barak,
Right.
you had a quick comment you want to make. I want to make sure we make time for two more predictions. Barak, go.
Okay, so I'm sure you all have at least heard about Ready Player One, and they talk about flicksyncs, this notion of you can take the role of any character in any movie, and basically be them and act it through your VR, glasses, whatever it is. Ready Player Two, the follow-on book, which wasn't as successful, actually introduced the idea of becoming another person. So literally somebody will download their memories and then to the cloud, right? And those will get downloaded to your brain. And then you literally feeling and seeing the world through their eyes, which is sort of I think an extension of that idea too. So the whole concept sounds fascinating. You're not wrong that I think
Scary.
that way.
Scary. I'm still holding on to what I've got left of my personality, but we'll leave. Thank you, Barak. Thank you very much. I want to move on to Charles' predictions. Charles, I'm going to your prediction number one, which was left over from part one, virtual reality romance. You say in a future, we're still on VR, in a future where VR has become ubiquitous in stories, people will engage in romantic relationships primarily within VR environments. Expect to see romantic relationships with other humans or with AI-driven avatars. AI and companion avatars will play a crucial role in creating highly realistic, here's the kicker, and emotionally responsive avatars in these future stories. They'll become customized to meeting individual preferences, offering companionship and emotional support, leading to a blurring of lines between reality and virtual experiences, causing social isolation. We just talked about that. And a decline, in real-life human interactions. Love and romance will become irrelevant concepts in the future. Now you're frightening me. Charles, go ahead. 2 minutes, go.
Okay, so kind of camping onto what Mark postulated, I would see the future use for AI-enhanced avatars for autistic males, primarily, because there's a very almost an epidemic being identified as somebody else had suggested that they want to have not a bio baby, but a baby that was sponsored by an AI, and there's that technology. I sent that to you a couple weeks ago, Bonnie, about these AI females that were basically built to be able to host and deliver children. So for somebody that's having trouble socializing, having trouble trying to be responsive and be a true human being, perhaps their best destiny is to be served by an AI engineered program that's completely focused on what they need to survive as a social human being.
Very interesting. You are almost leading in a segue to a prediction that Barak had sent me that's very, very similar. So, Barak, do you want to comment on what Charles said rather than reading a very similar prediction? Or do you want me to read yours, Barak, as a follow-on, and then we can both talk?
Go ahead.
I'll read it. I think you'll appreciate this, Charles.
Barak, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scold you. Dude.
No. I love it when we have similarities. He says, with improved AGI and other technologies, a new kind of robot is created, a companion that can also provide perfect designer sperm on demand for women wishing, Casey, I know, for women wishing to conceive. Women rapidly choose to have children with their robot companions because they're simply better than flesh and blood men in pretty much every way. Wow, this is something. And men become obsolete. Okay, no comment. Rendered unnecessary and eventually hunted and killed for sport. I hope this isn't a story. In this story prediction, because it assumes a much larger disruption in the social order, the story of this process is where it begins rather than the aftermath. You want to defend that or unpack that briefly, Barak, and then I'll have you and Charles go back and forth. We have just about 6 minutes left, so go ahead, the two of you. Barak?
Well, I mean, I mentioned Black Mirror earlier, and we keep talking about dystopian futures. This clearly is a possible one. I'm not going to analyze statistically what the likelihood of it is. Just as you can imagine the flip side, right? You create a perfectly designed woman AI, right, that can conceive children and carry them to term, and then men decide that women are obsolete and let's hunt and kill them for sport, right? I mean, you can literally see both sides of this coin happening, and in fact, you could have a single TV episode showing both as if parallel universes. I just think these are potential dark sides or dark alleys we can wander down and not, in a way, not talked enough or not explored enough because it's so makes us so queasy.
Queasy is a good word. I was going to say icky, but that's okay. The mechanics of making that happen make me queasy. Casey, did you have anything you want to say about this, being the only other female on the panel? Anything upset you?
I think some of the themes that have come up here around social interactions, right? And also divided by gender, which is interesting. And I think it speaks to kind of this fundamental divide we see in society right now, right? Where people are having trouble socially connecting, people are feeling very isolated, especially young people. So hopefully we don't go down those dark alleys, as Barak says. Hopefully there are ways we can find to reconnect and rediscover our humanity and appreciate fellow humans while also using AI. And I think Mark had said, maybe we can use AIs as tools to help us. And one thing we had talked about in the previous panel was maybe there's an AI trainer girlfriend or boyfriend for, teens who are nervous about going on a date or, don't know how to interact. So maybe there is some positive there. I mean, I also gravitate towards the dark side of things, but hopefully there's some optimism as well.
And I would like to see fun put into some of these plots instead of scary and icky and queasy and terrifying. I would like to see some fun put in where you're talking about universes where that AI robot avatar trainer is helping a kid in the story have a better first date and learn how to deal with whether it's an AI girlfriend or a real human girlfriend. Charles wanted to comment. Go ahead, Charles. You'll probably be the last comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, one caveat. I would expect that the natural evolution of AI enhanced robots would at some point achieve a consciousness and actually earn their own emotional responses. Therefore, they would have to be equipped, and you're not going to like this, but I'll go ahead and tell you anyway. They need to be equipped with a reset button to be able to reload all of their programming. Barak, if that's what you guys are building, I'm in. I'll help you with the seed money. There we go. But reprogramming that avatar that was built perfectly for you, and then has its own evolution, and all of a sudden she's yelling at you for you left your socks on the floor again. So you go over, hit the reset button, and the original programming is reloaded, and you start the process again. Puts
new meaning into put a pin in it, right? I'm sorry, I was thinking of a blow up AI. Never mind. Okay, there we go. Reset would be nice. I was a stand up comedian way back a long time ago. I had a partner. We used to put together shows for public libraries and Borders bookstores, which banned us because one of my comedians used the V word, virgin, and a young mother with her child thought we were doing something horrible, and she ran out of the store. 250 people stayed for the show, and it was a free show. But anyway, we were banned to Borders because we did something terrible. But she used to have a comedy routine. One of her lines was, I have an aunt who just is so boring, nobody wants to listen to her. So when we get together for family events, I wish we had not a fast forward, but a back button on, and we could erase her part of it. So, there we go. So there's a reset button, Charles, for Aunt Sally or whatever her name was. I want to thank all of you. We've got about 2 minutes left. If you all want to come back and do this again, I think we went into a lot of different, very exciting new territories today that we didn't on part one. And I would really be honored to have you all back. So let's talk about picking a date this summer. Jason, you want to come back and do this again? What do you think? Yeah, Jason's in. Mark, you in? Good. Charles, I know you are.
Yeah, I'd like to make sure that you speak to my parole officer again.
Casey, are you in? Barak, you're always in. I know that. It says the professor is in. There you go. I'm Bonnie D.
I adore you, Bonnie. I can't say no.
I know you do. Everybody, I want you on the count of three. We're going to say, before I play the music, on the count of three, you were going to say, no, no, no. People say the future is already here. And we say on the count of three, 1, 2, 3, no, 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 no. There you go. Let me play the outro music if I can find it. I want to thank my art engineer, Jordan Henson. Thank you very much for being here. And let's play this music and let's take this home.
Are you tired of hearing the future is already here?
Yep.
We are too.
Yep.
That may have been yesterday's future, but today's future hasn't happened yet. Take a deep breath, tune out the hype, the noise, and turn up the volume. Savvy, art of the possible technology visionaries talking about how today's innovations right now are shaping every aspect of our real future. We'll laser focus our spotlight on buzzworthy tech like artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, augmented reality, and lots more. Clear your calendar and open your mind for Technology Revolution, the future of now, with the most upbeat host on global radio, Bonnie D. Graham. Listen anywhere, anytime, on any device.
I love that. This was recorded 6 years ago. I don't know. I think I wrote the script and Ryan Treasure recorded it for me. Well, let's say goodbye to our streaming service. Goodbye, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube.